So welcome you two to this one will be an educational cast in the lower end, so might turn out to be a legend search as well. But this is mostly done because there's a request in my Twitch channel uh, to be able to um, just spectate your game, and I'll be able to comment it, and also you'll have some feedback into it. So this one will go to YouTube so that you can watch it back. We are analyzing more toward the play of Oz Party here um, to know what he can improve or not. 3 Angler starts here, quite risky. This is a very slow start. The aggro seems decent. I do not know how it goes though, because this is not something you normally see. Normally you do something like a tier 3, like the Washroom. Yeah, if you might just leave the stream, would be greatly appreciated. You'll have the feedback afterwards, and it will be better. So now we do see here wave 1 will be a small leak here in the end, losing a little bit of stacks. So that is not the best for anglers, because if you don't receive a 20 here on 1, you are susceptible of receiving a 60 on 2 if someone has a 5 worker start. This is however a small league, so not the end of the world, but they are better way to do it here. As I said, Washroom with 2 anglers, Washroom 1 angler. You can also do Bounty Hunter only. And also what's risky here, not having a tier 1 with angler is quite risky. But let's see, here the weakest wave of anglers are wave 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They are very weak early game. So you've seen that I've said that no, they're not weak on 1 and 2 because their base stats is normally enough for them to be able to hold them easily. But that's why also you need to mix those anglers with any other type of units. So as I said, tier 3 plus anglers, normally a good decision. Wireshroom angler, probably the best thing he could have done here in his role. But now he's going to leak wave 2 again here. So that does 2 things to him. It puts him a little bit behind in goal and in pushing power, while the opponent can go very far ahead. At this level, they might not be comfortable pushing workers, but it can easily be punished by pushing another worker against it and keeping the pressure on. So currently, he's a bit lucky that the opponent's only 3 workers. But if they were 5 workers, they could be able to punish him quite a lot here. But when you're playing anglers, the most important thing is to get those stacks. That's the most important thing. And those anglers get the stacks more faster. Sorry. And so you want to delay as much as possible the bounty hunter upgrade also. So let's see. Now he's looking decent. Let's say on 4. If he upgrades on their bounty hunter. 5, it will be a slow wave if he decides to do so. Does receive an 820 here. And so if you want to play bounty hunter, yeah, you need to think about the weak wave as much as possible. Right now, he has the tank line, he needs damage. So you're looking at damage for wave 5 and 6 at first. So you're looking towards a Zeus. You have the bazooka that can be turned into a Zeus. That's impact damage, magic damage, good on 5 and 6. So with the front line, you can have the potential to do very well. Also, you're doing a lot of income here. That's totally fine. Like when you're a new player, better to go for income, focus on your building, and once you got your building done and you know how to maximize it, then you can easily go for more advanced strategy into saving or picking some specific waves to send on. But right now, he will be fine here with double bounty hunter on wave 4, wave 5 also. So we really want to see something like a Zeus here. We want something to support the bounty hunter to allow more stacks generation. But here, Zedemir is looking good also on his side, got Pyro, but he's also weak on wave 6, but does have 3 bazookas still. So we'll still be able to do well. So yeah, so looking a bit away, if we look at what the opponent is doing, Brute on the Green Devil, very good send here from Zemra. So yeah, I mean, nicely played for a moment from Red. Till is the one sending it to House Party. Does have the Yuzora, can be weak on 5, but currently this is not the problem or attention that House Party has right now. He wants to focus on his build, and that's totally fine. As a new player, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to emphasize into the economy to focus on your build, as he's doing. A Brute recent from Zemra, so this is a lot of pressure on oh wait, no, sorry. That's not teal sending onto blue. I'm sorry. This is yellow sending onto blue. But putting pressure here on Turbo Weasel. And here we see House Party pushing workers here, but investing into more anglers. So this means that 6 is very, very problematic for him. He doesn't have the damage type, nor does he have the defensive type. If we are looking at the defensive type here, we do have fortified armor here, takes extreme damage from impact and magic. So 6, 7, 8, problematic for the angler. But then it does pierce damage as well, and so very weak against fortified. So that's 6, good against arcane, but this is very low base damage from it. So this is still problematic, and also against swift, good on 8, but the defense type is what is problematic. We do have tail leaking to a brute here, so very nice sin. Recognizing the weak wave, and Turbo Weasel also leaking this guy. So this is king damage, bonus gold for them, and they are ahead in workers, so not getting punished by those bounty hunters, but there are still ways to improve, as we said. Even though you're able to go for leaks here, resist descents, there are always avenue to improve and do a little bit better here. Because right now, what is going on is that he's overbuilding, and that's totally fine. Like, you want to stay on value, iron value, that's totally fine. You know your weak wave, then you want to invest into that. But he's sticking to only one unit. When you stick to only one unit, it is very easy to spot what is your weak wave also. So that means that if you have many units, like this here, or like this, it is hard to spot what is the weak wave. Luckily, this is only swift armor, all weak to pierce. So it was a good send on 5, but then the brute here on 6 doesn't make any sense, right? Because you only have swift armor, impact damage, and this was unknown. So this is new. Magic damage still good here. And so ascend on 7 and 8 could have been better. You could have just went for income here and not for the brute resend. It does make more sense on the side of the yellow player because there is the green devil, arcane defense, and not much damage. So this brute does make sense. And here we see the weakness here. 3 snails, 3 bounty hunters, but you see, there's no damage to kill the Rokos. So that's why investing into something else, like a Zeus, could have been very helpful. So when you build a role around anchors, you want something that supports it to enable the stack generation, to enable yourself to have a decent mid game. Something that you can do is to go in the leaderboard section, top games. You'll have something like an angler start or bounty hunter start. Those are normally games that you can learn from to see what was the role from the person playing the bounty hunter, and how did he develop it? What was he looking for when he played this bounty hunter? So you can ask yourself those questions when you are looking at the top games, and if you ask yourself those questions while looking at it, that's where you can improve, because you're gonna ask yourself, wait, I'm not doing that, why is he doing that? And then you say, wait, I'm gonna try it, and you say, oh wait, that works well, but I would have done this instead. And then you can improve how you play, right? Just by analyzing what they do, putting it and how you see the game and stuff like that. So here we have a DT, so returning to income, that is very crucial, going for income king up for a bounty hunter player. Say to yourself that if the game is even, once you get your kingpin, you are ahead. So that's the main thing with Kingpin. If you are equal, you are ahead. So here, able to get some king damage again, I do believe. Yes, the recent was pretty good. What's missing from Sinnoh is damage. He does have Nikomata, but I don't think it is quite heavily stacked. And so leaking here is not ideal. Uh, and then Turbo Weasel just didn't have damage here. Yes, he had the front line, the Gargoyles, but yeah, I mean, the Adams needs time, and that's not what he has against a Brute. And Zemre is just keeping up the pressure, scaling. I do think Zemre is playing very good this game. The build does let to be desired, of course, but that's normal. It's low elo, but his decision to push income, how he pushes worker, it's all well thought out, right? He's trying to keep himself on value, pushes the rest, and stuff like that. Yeah, but I mean, playing by impulse is totally fine, right? You play how you like, but you can ask yourself some questions and say, "Oh, wait, I can do that, maybe." So here we have the sense here on wave 8. That will result to a leak here for House Party because he doesn't have anything that does insane damage. And this is fast attacking wave Cobra, that is. But he still has 2 Bounty Hunter, can still do decent, but it will still result into a leak from what I see right now. Yeah, and that's the only reason why that is just because he's focusing on a single unit. So you just want to try and mix it up a little bit. Try to have something that covers weak wave and not only play towards value. If you play only towards value, that's where you're gonna struggle a little bit. Because even the weak wave, you're on value and you don't understand why uh, you leak necessarily. But yeah, the opponent are not pushing very well the workers. They don't try to punish your bounty hunter. So this game it does work, but it is a weakness that can be improved just because of that. So yeah, just keep in mind that you have other units that you can play around it to try and maximize the amount of stacks you get. And I must say that despite that, you do have some decent stacks. 100 stacks, pretty good in general. He has 300. I do think that here, going for the first Kingpin to try. Oh, yeah, Bunk is totally fine as well. This is the first time you do a different unit, but this is very good because this allows you to get more stacks on wave 9 before getting your Kingpin on wave 10. So I kind of like this. And income King ups here. But that's what we say here. Like, the reasoning behind your Bunk here is that you don't want your Kingpin yet, right? And you had a lot of gold, and so just going for another type of unit to try and support your anglers, just maximize your stacks. They get so much more stacks because they keep themselves alive. So that's the thing you need to keep in mind. But now on wave 10, you want to try and get your first Kingpin. Like, even wave 9 is a good wave, 8 is a good wave as well if you play it correctly to maximize the stacks. But yeah, I mean, the opponent is struggling right now also, so it's harder for them to punish you. But let's see. I mean, despite you receiving a cent here, I do think you should go for the Kingpin. And yeah, okay, you're pushing some workers here, and you're calculating the 250 gold that you need for the Kingpin. So I do think that you are going for the right thing here, and you have the right reaction. You look at what your gold you're gonna have, and how much you're missing for the bounty hunter, and if you can push the rest. So that's totally fine. You're keeping up on workers as well compared to the others. So your decision making towards how you play the kingpins is correct. It's just your build needs to be a little bit adjusted to try and support them more instead of just going for massing them. I think that's the only issue right now. And okay, here if you don't go for a kingpin, that's kind of a mistake because wave 10 is problematic. Yes, you have a bunk. Yes, you have a lot of bounty hunters, but you don't have this unit to kill the boss. So you will probably leak wave 10 just because of that fact. And That's the main thing. Newer players don't necessarily know that, but you don't have to get the 150 stacks on the Kingpin. But you might say, well, yeah, but I'm missing on damage. But the problem is that if you never go for where the Kingpin is strong, the mid game is where the Kingpin is strong, you're gonna lose value or pushing power in the late game. Well, you might hold just due to pure numbers here. It looks like you do hold because of that. But this is very dangerous. Like, like it's very dangerous because if someone saves on you and you don't have your Kingpin, this might easily hold, even to a brute, I do believe. But the bunk does save you, and you're 150 over, so that's pushing potential that you don't have. So that's what you need to keep in mind also. Yes, it is good to be overvalued in certain wave, but uh, when you have a mix of units and you are able to cover some of the weak waves within your build, that's where you can read more workers, put more pressure, and things like that. I do think villain here is your play, to be honest. So you go investment, that's totally fine as well. It's more scaling, but villain is just more power when playing Kingpin because it helps you cover wave 13. Wave 13 is currently one of your weakest wave, and it can be very hard for you to hold, especially if you don't get one Kingpin. And Kingpins are not the strongest. It's just strong because of this base damage. But we'll see, we'll see. But there's no aura, but still fine. You can still reroll to possibly get something. But yeah, I see that you are trying to get the 150 stacks before upgrading, but that's not a necessity. You are missing into some of the power spike, and so you are not able to push as heavily as the others. But as we said, the opponent are not pushing as much as they should, and they have a hard time making their build works, which is totally fine. Yeah, they're learning the game as well, same as you. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind that your current build is something that can be exploited. Uh, so yeah, so Bounty Hunter with Steed is something that is called a slow start because you are forced to stay something like 3 workers to be able to get your Kingpin on wave 6. If you don't get your Kingpin on wave 6, it can be good, but the problem is that you need to temper your push. So this means that your opponent is having something like we call a free game, because you don't have as much pressure on your opponent. Uh, that means that he can read some more workers, so they can be something like 10 workers while you're still at 4 workers, and so you're kind of killing a little bit your teammate with that. But it can be fine if you're able to counteract the pressure by getting the early Kingpin and pushing those workers, even though your Kingpin is not 150 stacks. So that's the main point you need to keep in mind, is that it's not it is very good, but can still be punished quite heavily if the opponent knows how to counter it. But it is indeed a very nice way to get through those early Kingpins and highly stacked Kingpins. So that's mostly how I see it. I don't necessarily prioritize it just because it relieves so much pressure. And so you kind of kill your teammate. And if you saw me and how I play, it's mostly acts toward helping my teammate. And this build is totally selfish, if you want my opinion. And so it's not made for me. But you can like it. It's just you need to be aware of what the consequences are. It's just not my style. I'm sorry. But yeah, now you see House Party at 668, 61 overvalued here. This is fine, but as we said, you're missing some pushing power because you did not go. Um, you cannot go for those early aggressive play like your teammate late wave 12 because he decided to push those extra workers and try to be aggressive. But you never play like this. You play reactively. You say, okay, I'm overvalued. I'll be safe. I'll get those kingpins. But you never try to do something proactive and put pressure, right? So that's the thing. When you're playing this kind of build, you want at one point, yes, it is alright to be defensive and react to what the opponent is doing with an early kingpin play. But once you get that kingpin, you need to switch that and be the proactive player because you have some obvious weak waves in 13 and 15. So you need to make the plays with your high push and put pressure on your opponent when you have that. But yeah, you're still at 17 workers. That's fine. But the thing is that look at your value here, 231 over. And yes, in this game it works. You are still ahead in workers because of that. But there are some pushing power that you can exploit here. And value is one thing, but pressure is another, right? So you need to keep that in mind. Those two concepts of um defending and pressure, you cannot play solely to one because this just prevents you from closing out games. Because if the enemy is able to overpush, to push you, outpush you, sorry, uh, then you won't be able to do something proactive in the late game, and you're gonna just act like waiting. So what possibly happened to you is that you probably at one point were too low value for the late game, but that's two thing, right? It's either you leaked a lot or you didn't scale your economy to enable you to follow the exponential growth of the power of the wave. So those are the two possibilities. And right now, what I do see is that you don't push enough workers to scale your economy. And that's mostly the problem on why you struggle in the late game from your games. From what I see right now, of course. Um, but yeah, apart from that, what do I see else? We do see it's mainly the economy, and that may be why you go investment as well. But yeah, that's why pushing workers is very essential in this game. Is because you are constantly battling against the clock onto trying to get to this late game status where your income takes over the gold you gain from the wave. And you'll see that now you're 455 over, but after wave 15, you'll see it will be harder and harder for you to keep in value because you don't have the economy to sustain it. And that's mostly the point. But this should be fine here. I do think they die here, your opponents. Are close to. I don't think the lizard here send was optimal from your ally, but still fine. Okay, no, we do have Teal doing pretty well here, despite his low value. And no, this is not game. The clock. It's like the clock. CLOCK. And yeah, okay, you're staying 20 workers. Do you push to no send here? You should push a little bit, try to get your economy rolling a little bit. And you're not doing that. So that's exactly the problem, right? Well, okay, you're getting long saved on, but you see your value is still overvalued. But once you get your send, I would really recommend you start really pushing hard. Whatever, flight. Whatever. So yeah, you're overvalued, you're gonna hold, most probably. But now I want to see you push. You need to scale your economy. You have a lot of kingpins, you have a lot of value. But if you don't push heavily, you will have some struggle trying to scale your economy in the late game. But you see here, you have all those kingpins, but you are not able to hold wave 16, despite having your value here. And that's because you only focus on a single unit. More than, okay, you're holding, but that's very close to a leak if you ask me, for this value. Okay, you're holding. But you're 486 value over. So you see here that going for mixed unit could have been better for you. And this shows you how Kingpin does scale down when the later waves come because of the slow attack speed they have. Let me check one of them. It's 0.7, uh, 0.7 attack speed. So it just takes so much time while the late game units are late game wave are fast attacking. But now I really love the push that you have though. It will enable you to bring your economy up, but you could have pushed a little bit more here. You look at your value, you're plus 700. You might say to yourself, wait, I struggled on 16, I should overbuild. But the problem is that your value is all fortified and all pierce. So now the next wave you'll struggle on is 18. And 18 is pretty powerful, and so that's why you're gonna have to invest into those Zeus. And also on 20 you might struggle a little bit because this is pierce against a fortified again. So those are the little details you need to adjust. But still, you might be able to end the game here. But oh wait, you sent a shaman here. You didn't sell the quarter. Maybe they were there before, but the quarters are just perfect against it, and it's like you didn't send any lithium here. So you will see a hold here from Teal, just because of that fact. Here, easy hold for you, and easy hold for your ally. Yellow is leaking, but this should be close to a hold. Oh, okay, it doesn't have enough value for that. But yeah, the shaman, not the best here, because of these quarters. So you probably want to go for some ogre instead. But this is still not lethal, I do believe. Those are very low. I don't know. But you keep pushing. So your late game is is good. You're kind of starting to get those workers going. But it's harder for you in the early game, and you can easily be punished. So that's the thing. It's lethal. So yeah, so the early game needs to be having some adjustment because you don't support those kingpins generation. So that's why also we normally see only one or two of them in the early game to ensure that you have a high stack kingpin and you don't overly leak. So this game your opponent weren't that pushed and they didn't try to leak you that much, right? They focused on their build, they tried to recover when they leaked, but they sent you every single wave. But normally when you play a kingpin, that's not what you see. And you see, despite them sending every wave, and you be careful, on wave 6 you still did struggle here because the damage typing wasn't ideal. So that's the thing you need to keep in mind. And you had the perfect answer in the Zeus here. And if you look back, even on wave 2, I decided, oh wait, you got Zeus, you can play around that. And so it could have been already some preparation for you. But yeah, as I said, also going for washroom plus anglers could have been better for you as well. To try and scale up a little bit more. Try and follow the push that can happen around you. And with this, increase your economy, scale better in the mid game, and enable yourself to recover from some leaks and stuff like that. So on that, I hope this was helpful, not only to you, but also to people watching. And on that, I'm gonna say thank you for watching and see you next time, YouTube.